My dear and respected colleagues in legal profession, learned members of the bar, respected members of the judiciary, my fellow citizens, dear students, good morning to you all. Today, I wish to speak on a subject that lies at the very heart of our constitutional democracy, the role of the judiciary and the importance of preserving public confidence in this great institution. Under the title From My Lord to Servant of Justice, the constitutional character of the Indian judiciary and the imperative of public trust. My friends, let me begin by making one thing absolutely clear. The recent incident inside the Supreme Court, where a law student disrupted the court proceedings, threw papers in the courtroom, and used abusive language against the bench and judges, deserves unequivocal condemnation. No disagreement with the judicial order can ever justify disorder inside the court of law. Courts are the guardians of justice, and their dignity must always be protected. Yet, history often teaches us that even unfortunate incidents can compel us to reflect on deeper constitutional questions. One expression used during that episode has remained in my mind. Constantly, I am reminding that the student referred to the judges as judicial servants, leaving aside the unacceptable manner in which it was said. The expression itself raises an important constitutional question. Who is a judge in a constitutional democracy? Is a judge a ruler? Is a judge a lord? Is a judge above criticism? Or is a judge a constitutional servant entrusted with the solemn responsibility of administering justice? Our constitution gives only one answer. A judge is not the master of the people. A judge is not a lord. A judge is not a ruler. A judge is not the servant of any government. A judge is not the representative of any political ideology. A judge is, above all, a servant of the Constitution and a servant of justice. Friends, India is not a monarchy. It is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. In our constitutional system, there is only one supreme authority, not parliament, not the executive, not even the judiciary. The constitution alone is supreme. Every constitutional institution derives its authority from the constitution and remains accountable to it. That is the essence of rule of law. Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of Indian constitution, envisioned a constitutional democracy in which every institution functions within its assigned sphere, with a constitutional morality as its guiding principle. The judiciary occupies a unique and honored place in this constitutional structure. It protects fundamental rights. It interprets the constitution. It acts as the final constitutional safeguard whenever executive or legislative action exceeds constitutional limits. These are extraordinary responsibilities, but the extraordinary responsibility does not create extraordinary privilege for the judges. It demands extraordinary integrity, extraordinary courage, extraordinary humility. Every judge, before assuming office, takes an oath. Notice carefully what the oath requires. It is an oath of allegiance to the Constitution, not to any government, not to any political party, not to any political ideology, not to any religious belief, not to any ideal. The Constitution alone is the source of judicial authority. Therefore, my friends, describing judges as servants of justice is not an insult. It is the highest constitutional compliment. It reminds every judge that judicial office is not an office of power. It is an office of public trust. Our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, once described himself as the first servant of the people. If the elected head of the government of India could speak in those humble terms, surely every constitutional authority can proudly regard public office as an office of service. Friends, independent India inherited many institutions from the colonial era. Some traditions deserve to continue. Of course, others deserve to end. Expressions such as my lord, your lordship, and your honor belong to a feudal legal culture inherited from British rule. But the Constitution transformed India from a colony into a republic, democratic republic, sovereign democratic republic. It replaced the subjects with citizens, privilege with equality, hierarchy with constitutionalism. Respect for judges should never depend upon feudal language. Real respect comes from impartiality, from scholarship, from integrity, from independence, from the courage to uphold the constitution, and even when doing so is difficult. A fearless judge earns greatest respect than any ceremonial title like My Lordship, Your Honor, and My Lord. The title can never ever bestow. My friends, a democracy survives only so long as its citizens trust its institutions. Today, many citizens question the electoral process. Investigating agencies are frequently questioned. The media is often questioned. Increasingly, even the judiciary is being questioned. That should concern every Indian, irrespective of political ideology, because the judiciary is not merely another institution. It is the final constitutional refuge of every citizen. When governments exceed constitutional limits, when liberty is threatened, when fundamental rights are violated, when every other institution appear unable to provide relief, the citizens turn to the courts. If faith in judiciary weakens, democracy itself begins to stand on an uncertain ground. My friends, this is why the recent observations of Justice Madhav Jamdar of Bombay High Court received such widespread public attention. While deciding a case involving an externment order, he reminded that the authorities that the state cannot reduce citizens to slaves of the government. Whether one agrees with every observation in every judgment is not the issue. The larger constitutional lesson is this: public confidence grows when judges are seen to be independent, fearless, and guided only by the Constitution and the law. The converse is equally important. One of the greatest challenges before the judiciary today is the growing perception among sections of the public that judicial independence may sometimes be compromised. Whether such perceptions are justified or not is a matter of careful institutional reflection, but they cannot simply be dismissed, because the judiciary's greatest constitutional strength is neither the power of the contempt nor the authority to strike down the legislation. It is the greatest strength. Its greatest strength is public trust. Public debate surrounding immediate post-retirement appointments to the government offices, questions regarding the transparency in-house inquiries, controversies involving members of the judiciary that occasionally enter the public domain. Each such episode, irrespective of its eventual outcome, has the potential to diminish the confidence unless addressed with openness, fairness, and transparency. This is not a criticism for its own sake. It is a constitutional appeal to preserve the moral authority of the judiciary. My friends, the judiciary possesses neither the purse nor the sword. It depends on something far more powerful: the confidence of the people. That confidence is earned. It cannot be demanded. It is earned through integrity, through transparency, through intellectual honesty, through constitutional fidelity, through judgments that demonstrate independence from every external influence. India does not merely require more judges. India requires judges whom every citizen instinctively trusts, judges who inspire confidence among the powerful and the powerless alike, judges who are seen to stand with the Constitution rather than with any government, political party, or ideological interest, or any religion. Because justice must not only be done, it must also be seen to be done. Friends, citizens too have constitutional responsibilities. We are free to disagree with the judgments. We may criticize judicial reasoning. We may seek review. We may advocate reforms. But we must never abuse judges. We must never obstruct courts. We must never weaken constitutional institutions through violence or intimidation. Constitutional democracy demands responsibility from citizens as much as from judges. As I conclude, let me leave you with one final thought. The question before the nation is not whether judiciary deserves respect. It is unquestionably does. The more important constitutional question is this: what reforms, practices, and institutional safeguards are necessary to ensure that every citizen continues to have complete faith in the independence, integrity, and constitutional character of our judiciary? If we can honestly answer that question, we will strengthen not merely one institution, but the entire sovereign democratic republic. The majesty of the judiciary does not lie in being addressed as my lord. It is true, its true majesty lies in fearlessly defending the liberty, the fundamental rights of the people, in faithfully upholding all the constitution, in protecting the weakest against the strongest, and in remaining always a humble servant of justice under the constitution. That is the vision of Baba Sahib Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. That is the promise of our constitution. That is the path that will preserve public faith in the judiciary and keep Indian democracy a strong for generations to come. The constitution is supreme. The rule of law is our shield. An independent judiciary is our hope. Let us preserve all the three at any cost. Thank you. Jai Bhim, Jai Constitution, Jai Bharat. Thank you.